Welcome back to the program. Our series with the taxman continues this evening with the Acting Commissioner General at the Botswana Unified Revenue Service, Segolo Lekau. This evening, the Acting Commissioner General talked to us about withholding tax. Who is liable for withholding tax? And what does the law say when revenue collected by concerned parties is not remitted to the taxman? Let us talk about withholding tax. Who is liable for withholding tax? Perhaps you could start with what is withholding tax?
Let me say that there are different ways in which we collect tax. And withholding tax is normally collected. I mean, if you take, for instance, the payee or, a monthly payments that you make to your employees, we basically impose what we call a withholding tax because on your monthly wage or salary, the employer would withhold a certain amount being tax that is then remitted to the tax administration or to BRS. In certain instances, you might find that when property is being rented out, the business that is renting the property, in terms of the law, is mandated to collect, I think it's 5% of the rental, from the rental being paid, to remit that to BRS. And so there are various rates, but this withholding tax, sometimes it's a final tax, sometimes it is not a final tax because we would still want the person from whom the tax was withheld to file the tax returns and justify whether he or she has paid sufficient tax. And in such instances, that is what we call advance tax. So in most cases, the payee or what your employer is taking away from you as tax, for us is not the final tax, it is just advance tax. And that is why at the end of the year we request that you file your tax return, basically telling us whether you have had other sources of income other than the employment. If it is only the employment and it was well calculated, then that might as well be the end of the story for you. But if you had rental income or you were doing some consultancy, when we add that, you might receive a tax assessment. Now, what the minister has actually said in the budget speech was that we are going to have an increase of the dividend, tax, which the current rate is 7.5, but we have increased that to 10% now. And what it basically means is that when a company pays dividend to the shareholders, they must then withhold the 10%, which they then pay over to BRS. And for the dividend, for me and you, that is more or less the final tax, like I was explaining, that in certain instances it is a final tax. And so that is how it basically works. So that is withholding tax. The law is clear that if you have employees and they are above the threshold and they have to, the employer is mandated, let me put it that way, in terms of the tax law, Income Tax Act, to withhold a certain amount based on, we have given employers a tax table. They can calculate and say, no, for a salary of 5,000, so much has to go for tax. And that is, the employer has an obligation to, collect and remit to BRS.
In Africa, help is what we do. That is why we at FNB are relentlessly driven to provide real help to you, the passionate and courageous. the creators, and the optimists. These are the entrepreneurs we support, the communities we uplift. It is because of you that real help is what we do. FNB, how can we help you?
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?